think I cut it off. Listen, it's my first time doing the whole like 1, 2, 3, 30-second countdown. Honey, I didn't stop it. What is that?
What is what?
Do y'all hear that?
No.
Everything. What you hear?
A whole like oh, you know what? It's because I have it on my other.
Oh, you hear an echo?
I know I hear it. I pulled it up to
Hey,
see it.
Lisa.
Hi,
Hi.
Lisa. Lisa, can you go like that? Can you switch it and go this way?
Oh,
Maybe.
okay.
It's streaming on my Facebook.
Okay. If not, go back to how you were. It's okay. Yeah, because now you're portrait but landscape.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Leave it. It's okay. Leave it. Because we live, okay? We live. And I just want y'all to know it's my first time being live in a really, really, really long time. So welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are not aware of who I am, my name is Talisa Ray. I am a wife coach. I help women have healthy, happy, successful relationships, starting with themselves, which also looks like everybody is included. I don't want to say that I just be working with the women, but I work with everybody. And that includes doing things that we love, like Black Book Joy. So today is our first time actually sharing our book reviews with our friends, our families, the Ray of Sunshines. We've been gathering together for a little over a year. So today it's March. It's March. So a year, 13 months. We have been reading books together, coming together monthly, sharing our experiences, talking about the books, and really loving on one another. So I do want to share that for anybody that's watching, this is a safe space. Everything we talk about is a safe space. Please trust and believe you will be removed, blocked, deleted, unwelcome if you are saying things that are not in alignment with safety, caring for someone, supporting people. You ain't got to know us, but being respectful is really high on the list. So men, women, everybody is welcome. If you decide, oh, I want to join back Black Book Joy, you can. I'll tell you more about that at the end. This month we read We Don't Talk About Carol by, I didn't have the actual book, but Kristen L. Berry. We don't talk about Carol. And as you can see, the title says, but we should. We don't talk about Carol,
Right.
but we should. And please feel free to include any comments or thoughts or whatever you want in the comments, and I will open them up and share as we discuss what we feel about We Don't Talk About Carol. So let me also say that Black Book Joy, we do read 95% of Black authors. The other 5%, we let them in. We let the others in, but our goal is to read and support Black authors. So 95% of the books that we read are from Black authors, and it doesn't matter what genre. So for instance, next month, someone else will be the host. Like this month, it's me. I'm hosting. We say have a poll every month on what books, and then we choose the book based on what's shared. And so starting next month, I will start us off, but someone else will be guiding us through that book. Okay, well, let's get into it. That's enough of me rambling. Let me just say that these beautiful women are always very supportive. There's a couple men that are in the group too, but who knows? Maybe they didn't read the book this time. Hey, Sharon, it's been a while. Okay, is it back? Yeah, I don't know. Married at First Sight. Listen, I don't even know if I'm gonna go back to it. Y'all, this is what I do. My neurodivergence pops in and out when somebody pops up on the screen. So the first question that I always ask, and when I ask this question, ladies, if you don't mind saying your name, where you live, because we are all not in the same place, so that people can become aware and familiar with who you are. So my first question is always, what was your overall thought process of the book? Like, don't go into a lot of details, but how did you feel about the book in its entirety? Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
I know you are. I know you are.
Hey, everybody. I'm Anitra Charlotte. I am in Atlanta, Georgia. And my overall take on the book was I'm intrigued through the whole book from the first page to the last. I wanted to know what's next. So I'm always pleasantly surprised. I don't think
Yeah.
there's a book yet that I haven't said I was pleasantly
Yeah. 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 I think you're right. Every book we read, you always go, I wasn't expecting that. I was pleasantly surprised.
surprised. I
Yeah,
do.
every book. Yeah. That's okay, Glenn. We know that it's okay. We love you and we're grateful that you're even here watching with us. But share your comments. Glenn, if y'all know Glenn, he is part of Jack and Glenn. He is part of the book club, and he always gives us a male's perspective, especially on books where we be needing a male's perspective. Okay, Teresa, I'm just gonna call you out, baby. It's on you.
Okay. So my name is Teresa, and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. My thoughts. I thought it was an easy read, and it was really interesting. I looked forward to going back to the book again. Like even when I didn't have time, I would make time because I was interested in it. And when we got down to the end of it, I was like, oh, I have almost a week to finish. But when I got down to the end, it was like I have to know. So I was up to like almost 2 a.m. trying to turning the pages, trying to figure out what the ending was.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Okay, friend. It's on you.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. I'm Lisa Butler. I live out here in Long Beach, California, and I did. I still think about it now. It's the book. It's like embedded in my mind that all that took place.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna just keep it 100. When I first started the book, I was like, I don't want to read this. I was not excited about it. I was like, "Ugh," but I gotta read it. I have to read it. It took me a minute to really get into the book, and then I was like, okay, because y'all know I don't be reading books until the last minute. You know how I do. It'd be the last minute, and then I finish it off. But overall, I think if I was to score the book, I gave it a 4 on Goodreads. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I didn't give it my 5 out of 5. I did give it a 4 out of 5 for me because for me, I was like, okay, well, what's happening? Let's go, let's go, let's go. It was a little slow for me. And Glenn says that the book was good from the beginning to the end. The end had my mouth open.
yes.
Agreed. Mouth wide open, like I know you lying. Like what? Anyway, it was not what I. Okay. Y'all know how I be doing. Y'all know how I be doing. Okay, so when we think about the book, I always also ask this question: who is your favorite character and why?
Mhm.
I'll start this off. Sasha was my favorite character only because she was a little carefree, but as we learn more about her, she was very supportive and very loyal as who she was. There were things, of course, that I felt like she could have grew on, but overall, I would say that Sasha, who was the sister, if you haven't read the book, was my actual favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The baby sister. She was my favorite. Even though, okay, so just as a recap, I don't know how long ago you guys read. So we got Sasha, the sister Sydney, who's the main character, Malik, who's her husband, the mama, I don't know, she ain't got no name. So she like the daddy, who was an NFL player, who was an alcoholic. You've got the Grammy who died and what initiated all of this, right? And then you've got a lot of other sub characters that we will absolutely talk about. Okay. So I'm ready when you're ready.
I'm ready. I like the husband, Malik.
Okay.
I enjoyed his emotional intelligence. Like he was pressuring. I felt like there was a lot of pressure he's placing on his wife. But once he was made aware of it, he always course corrected. Like he didn't keep pushing in to get his way. And I like the way she had the freedom to just say, hey, when she would finally speak up, and he'd be like, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. I love that.
Oh, that's nice.
I love that he was like, oh, like, and I'm like, oh, so because not all marriages are like that. You say something and they be like,
Yeah.
But he was like, okay, let me course correct. So I appreciated that from him.
Yeah.
He was
So
kind of emotionally connected to his wife. He just seemed like he always wanted to, um, be there for her. So I think I enjoyed him too. I was like, okay, this is nice.
Okay, Teresa, what about you?
I agree. I really liked Malik and their relationship in general. But I would have to say, I think Sydney was like my favorite character. Like I saw a lot of myself in
Mm.
her. In a lot of ways, I was like, girl, why you so lean towards the negative, waiting for the shoe to drop. But in the same sense, I was like, girl, that be you sometimes. A lot of the things that she had gone through, which
Yeah.
showed up as who she became, they resonated with me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Glenn dropped in and he said Malik was his favorite person because he was a supportive husband. Now, I
Mhm.
love y'all. Y'all know how I love y'all,
Oh
but
Lord.
Malik got on my nerves. Malik got on my nerves, specifically with that baby, him constantly wanting her to be pregnant. Well,
Mhm.
and she was unsure. And then I was a little disappointed that they weren't having a conversation about how this was affecting her. It
Mhm.
took forever for them to even have a conversation for either of them to say, I don't even know if I'm gonna be a good parent. I mean,
Mhm.
3 years at IVF or any kind of that, I just felt like his main goal was for her to have a baby. And I literally was like, oh, is she gonna have a baby? And if she don't, is he gonna still want to be with her? Like those were
Mhm.
my thought processes
Mhm.
every time Malik came up. Oh, you shouldn't go because you know how they feel in the stress. And this is something that she's enjoying. So I understand where he was a good husband, but he was getting on my nerves. I was like,
Yeah. In the
and again, it
beginning.
might be because I wear my badge of honor as being independent, which I'm trying to, I'm trying to release some of that hyper independence I got. But nevertheless, it was getting on my nerves. Like,
Absolutely.
you're not the one pregnant. You're not the one getting the shots in your belly. You're not the one getting shots in your butt. You're not the one having to not eat sushi. Girl, I would die. Like,
Yeah. In the beginning, I agree with that part. He was getting on my nerves, but when he course corrected, when she finally spoke up, it was
Mhm.
it was
Yeah.
they both
yeah, yeah,
had to mature into being able to articulate their feelings. He had some growing to doing, and she had some growing to doing. But when she finally found her voice, he listened. So that's why I was
yeah,
like, because at first I was just like, girl, this might not be the husband for you. But 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 she wasn't speaking up. She wasn't sharing her true thoughts. So,
yeah,
but she
yeah.
grew. I'm glad she started to.
So now one of the first things that we saw was when they went to Grammy's house, right? And she found a picture of a young girl in the drawer because you know how we be looking around and we be like nosy. You know what I'm saying? We be trying
Mhm.
to see what's what. And she saw this picture of this young girl. And she goes and she takes it to Grammy, and Grammy's like, "Who is this?" And the first thing she says is, "This is Carol. We don't talk about Carol." Immediately, we don't talk about Carol. And I know being 15, I think that's how old she was when the book started. You don't be one to you don't really question as a black woman in particular, you don't really, I didn't really ask questions. Let me speak for myself. I didn't ask questions to my grandmother or question her in that manner.
Mhm.
But I immediately was like, well, who is this? And why don't we talk about Carol? What's the deal? Immediately, but of course, I'm almost 50. I'm not 15. At 15, I probably would have asked everybody around me. But one of the things that we later learned was that we oh God, we all know it. What stays in the house, what
Oh,
happens in the
what?
house, what happens with the family stays in the family or stays in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And what I recognize is that that's a theme for most black households. So
Mhm.
when you heard that, specifically when they went back and started fixing Grammy's house up to be sold, and then mom is all like, we don't, if your grandmother didn't say nothing and it's big family business, blah, 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 we're going to let it rest. Let it
Mhm.
rest, leave it alone. Did you have a moment of like, wow, this is like, she really tapped into something that we recognize as black people?
Mhm.
Like, how did it give you, like, I'm sharing all my, did it give you like any like, damn, I wish I would have asked some more questions about certain things in my home? Did you have any like feelings
Not
around
for
it? No.
me. Not for me. I don't think for me, I didn't really experience that growing up. So now do I do it now to my kids? Yes, but no, I didn't feel like what happened. I mean, that how I mean, what they were telling her affected me per se.
Okay. Would you say that, would you have been like Sydney and immediately started researching who Carol was? The way how Miss Eloise, see, that's how you know I just read the book, okay? Miss Eloise, how she come to the door and then all of a sudden, what's that? Oh, that's Carol. You look just like, would you have immediately gone into the process of, I want to do some research? Or would you have let it go?
I would have did the research.
You would have did the research.
Especially if she said you look just like her. Like, well, tell me more.
Right.
I probably wouldn't have gone as deep as Sydney did because she had that the skill to
That
be.
back, yeah.
Right.
But I would have went as deep. I would have asked for more. Like, well, tell me more.
Yeah.
Like let's get into it. Grandma gone. let's get her open. So
Yeah.
I enjoy that. And
So
for
I
the
agree. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say for the other part, although my mom is a baby boomer, she did not give us what goes in the house stays in the house. She was very much like, if something's not right, say something. Because she was taught what goes on stays in the house, and it harmed her. So in turn, she wanted different for her children. So we had the freedom to speak up.
So I have a lot of family members who have been told that, and I can see where there's been a lot of hurt. I understand why. Like they kind of talked about in the book, that was one of the things that Black people had. We had our reputation, and that's the one thing we want to hold on to and control. So I get that, but I do see where that motto has caused so much harm a lot of times in young people. Because they are literally told that. I realized reading the book, I was never told that, but I also never spoke outside of my house about what was going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know, part of it I think is because I didn't think anybody was going to do anything about it. but I was never told that. But I do see family members who have been told that or who just felt that. And they hold on to things that, if nobody knows, how can anybody address it? Or how can you get help for it? So a lot of times really negative things have happened. And especially back then, a lot of negative things happened that nobody ever spoke about. Like my grandmother, look, God bless the dead. My grandmother she had some stuff going on with her. And she's been gone for probably almost 30 years. But I still wonder, like, Lord, what was it? What happened to her in her youth that caused that mindset shift? Something happened and we just didn't talk about it. Right. Even if it wasn't said, it was kind of like the way we lived. It was,
Exactly. Good. That's a good point. Because even though no one said don't talk about it, but we just did not talk about it. Right. It wasn't something that you took outside of your household. And truth be told, now in my household, we talk about everything. Like I got 2 sons. When I tell you we talk about everything, I mean we talk about everything to the point that my mother is always like, I can't believe it. You say that. I can't believe it. They come and tell you. I can't believe it, because I'm the person that's going to help them and help them navigate it, where I may not have felt the same support or felt as safe as they do. I think that is so important for our household. So I think that is probably much more of what we experienced. And since we're going to talk about the family, let's just talk about the family, and let's start with that daddy. Okay. Let's talk about Harry, Lawrence. Okay. Lawrence Singleton, who was the dad. How did you guys feel about what, as we continue? honestly, this is not where I thought that this was gonna go when they talked about the dad. What were your thoughts? I don't even want to ask like a specific question, but how did you feel about the dad and his energy and what actually who he was, like how he showed up, what his character was like how he showed up for his family. What were your thought process? You can and listen, I'm sorry to tell y'all who watching and haven't read the book, you should read the book, but we're going to get into details and share stuff. We ain't finna just be like, oh, I'm not going to say this. We're going to say whatever we feel like saying, okay? It's just what it is, okay? And I'm also going to tell y'all, if you haven't been here before, I do curse a little bit, and they are welcome to say a curse word every now and again. They own self, okay? So don't be offended, okay? Don't judge them, judge your mama. That's how I feel. Okay,
Can I share? So yeah. I feel like there was so much more I wanted to know about the father. Like what caused him to, because they made it seem like he was very loving, caring, and peaceful in their very young age. And then as they got older, he became volatile. So I'm like, we never found out why. Like what happened to make him that way? Like what happened? Was there something mental going on? Was there some issues with the fact that he was no longer a football player? Like they never addressed what caused dad to, act up. At one point, I thought he might have been the one that did something.
Me too. I guess so.
I thought so too. I thought they gave a clue that there was something there when he was a little boy, like how angry he would get at his sister when she wasn't there, like how he told on her, like when she wasn't there, he was scared. And then one time he really got mad at her when he saw her like packing up, like his anger, like to have that. I was like, there's like little clues that there might be something mentally there. And then I thought, well, NFL, just the hits you take for, all the things that are in the media now about the what happens to your brain when you're getting knocked around at such a force, that on top of the unchecked anger from him being a child and the feeling of abandonment, all that mixed in to an adult that drinks. And it seemed like there was some type of maybe mental thing. I'm trying to recall.
Yeah.
It was something in their family.
Oh gosh, psychosis. The one where you switch. The one where you
like schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia. There you go.
There was something in their bloodline that was there that it might, like there were like hints that there's something in the bloodline that wasn't really discussed or even known to do anything about. We didn't know about neurodivergent or autism, schizophrenia. We just said that boy or that woman a little special.
Something's going on.
How we treat our special family members, but now we got bipolar. Like we have names for it, medication, but then it wasn't names and medications. It's just like that special. Treat them, treat them a little bit differently.
Oh, let me say this. Even with mental health, though, back then it was, we don't talk about what happens outside this house. So maybe there weren't names and stuff for it, but we also weren't seeking treatment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We just kind of
And when you say that, it also made me think about how the importance and how we have grown so much where we know that mental health is important, that we go and we talk to therapists. It's no longer we're just in the kitchen. I mean, some of the boomers be like, oh no, I wouldn't go to therapy. I'm just, that's what I got my friends and my family for, to have but I'm so glad that we have moved past that. And a lot of us are seeking the help and having the conversations that are required, because I feel like he could have used some assistance. Him being angry, that whole, I'm just gonna go on and bust into it. That whole, when Harry Sasha was talking and he was gonna run them off the cliff, and that's really part of why I was gonna say Anitra Child. Sydney went into the San Francisco hospital because of the mental health thing that she had. She hadn't even remembered, thinking about when how he threw the glass and the mama was like, "What you scared for? What? Ma, what the fuck you mean? What I'm scared for?"
Oh
like,
my God,
she wasn't afraid.
Just your head. What you mean? And I'm standing in front of you like I'm gonna protect you. What you mean, Ma? Like, what you mean? Don't be scared.
Mama.
I was mad at that mama. Listen.
Right. She said this don't have nothing to do with you. Like, I'm watching him almost bust your head wide open.
So what you mean? You know what I mean? And then them just saying, I guess because he was an NFL player and because he had this restaurant that was doing really well, that they didn't want the negativity behind it. Okay, I get that, but he needed to get some help. You know what I mean? He needed to go and seek help. He needed more. He needed to have even just conversations with his wife about how he was feeling. Even though they were so different, she was I'm going to say very stoic, very unemotional, and he was very vibrant and energetic. But like you said, Anitra, that whole playing football, being who he was, all of that could have affected him, right? So let's talk about the mom, unless somebody else got something to add about that daddy, about Larry. Oh, let me just add though, thinking about when we got to the end and how Carol had said that Larry, that homeboy, we're gonna save his name for just a second. Homeboy was grooming Larry.
Yes.
So I feel like all of that, and if we remember, homeboy, I ain't even saying his name yet. Michael, when we saw Michael and he was upset with that girl and yanked her by the wrist, he had an issue with women already. So when we think about Larry, right? And that's who you see as your male figure, right? So you're picking up the things that he's doing. Just how I'm gonna hold on, but how we saw how that navigated. So before we go, okay, so Glenn said the father carried deep unresolved trauma growing up without a father, grieving the loss of his sister, and never having the space to process it with his mother. I'm just gonna sit it here just so people could see what he's saying. And you guys on the what's this, my right, if you look at comments, it'll show up any comments that are coming in on YouTube. I don't know if I would see anything that's coming in on Facebook, but Anitra, if somebody is on there and they're sharing, please feel free to please feel free to it might show up. It might show up because I do see it here. It might show up. Maybe somebody who's watching on Facebook could just be like, hey y'all, hey, so I can see what that looks like. Anyway, so now let's talk about that mama. Since we talk about the family, let's talk about that mama. What is the mama's name? Mama. I don't even know. Did the mama have a name?
I can't remember.
Yeah, she has a name. I can Google it real quick.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name either.
I can't remember the mama's name. Tell me what you guys thought about the mom, who was a dermatologist, right? She had went to college. She was a dermatologist. She was always gone. Always. So the dad did a lot of the caregiving for the girls. And in the beginning, it was fine. I also feel like Larry started thinking like, I'm the house husband. Like, do you know how much money I make? Do you know how much money I got saved? Do you know who I am? Do you know what my name is? And she was always gone. And he was really the one kind of like caring for the girls, taking them to school, making them breakfast, and, showing them a certain kind of love. What did you think about the mom? I got some thoughts that just popped in, but I'm going to hold on for y'all.
I was just surprised that she wasn't. I mean, I guess they knew each other. They grew up since they were, in high school or whatever. But she was never scared of the father. So I don't know where she got that bravery from. But,
And we just found out, thank you, Anitra, that Grace is the mom's name. Additionally, Glenn hit me up and was like, the Facebook messages will show up. So I will end up connecting my Facebook in the future because I do believe I want to do like a Black Book Joy Facebook page. Yeah. Anyway, because we got our own little thing in book clubs, okay? And if you was there from the beginning, anyway, let me shut up. So when I think about the mama, I think about she was very strict, very do things my way. This is how it should be done. Don't do it any other way. And knowing nothing about her past, I really wanted to know about her mom. I really wanted to know about her dad. I wanted to know, she was an only child. There was no one else, and that's a real life thing, right? But you end up having one of my closest friends is an only child, but she has so many people who love her, that she called sister, that she called brother, that are really good friends, you would see those people come around. They said no one. The daddy died, and it was just the daughter and Sasha and the mama and Grace together all the time. And I
She
just
had,
Mhm.
thought, go ahead, Anitra.
she grew up in a religious household, right?
Yes, her daddy was a pastor. Her
Okay.
Okay.
daddy was a pastor. Her daddy was a pastor. But you know, and I'm gonna just keep it a band. For me, the people who grow up as preacher kids and grew up in the church, they be a little fun. Okay. They be doing a lot. Okay. That's the nicest way that I can say it. When they get
Mm-hmm.
to a specific age and all the like regulations and you can't do this, can't do that, they
Mhm.
figure out how I can do this and how I can do that.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
how they discover who they are. Like staying
Mhm.
inside a box, even thinking about us as adults, staying inside a box and not growing is not helping us. You know, soon as they go to college, they like, oh, this is, oh, I'm free. Like, and anyway,
And that's how
not
her
all of them, not
sister.
everybody. Some people still be, you know,
Yeah, I think she stayed in the box though. I think growing up in
Yeah,
a religious
she did, but I
household,
think the sister kind of was like what Talisa was saying. Once she got free, she was a little wild.
you talking about the mother?
we talking about the mom,
No.
Lisa. I know you talking about Sydney. You talking about
Mhm.
Sydney and
Oh,
Sasha.
I'm not talking about the mother stayed in the box when her
Yeah.
parents died. Like
Oh.
as far as her having the mindset of what goes on in the house stays in the house and being very
Mhm.
stoic. That appearance
Mhm.
that people that grow up in a religious household, not only a religious household, but a head of the community, like a pastor, a pastor's wife, like there's a persona that you put on and that you're expected to keep
Mhm.
in the community. And I think she took that into her marriage with her by just being
Yeah.
stoic. And then I was wondering if she was a little on the spectrum, a little neurodivergent, because she was very not
Yeah.
in touch. Like there was no connection.
Right.
Like
Right.
there was no, so
Right.
I was like, there's something there. There's
Think,
something
yeah,
there.
that's a good point because when you think about how she was always stoic, and then thinking about
Mhm.
sitting at that table having that conversation with her daughter. Remember when it came up? I want to say it was Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
or was it Christmas? It was Thanksgiving because Christmas the baby pregnant. Yeah. But how she just looked and was like, "Okay, I have a headache. I'm gonna get up and come from it. I'm gonna go
Mhm.
from the table."
Like I'm not even
Like
dealing with that.
I'm not
Right.
even like, and not even a conversation about it, except for later when she do the little, you know, how that passive aggressive shit that people do when they be like with your little podcast because y'all starting your little podcast or whatever.
Yes.
So that's how you know just
Yeah.
literally, like who knows all that. Okay. Okay, so now we know about the mom. We talked about the mom. We talked about the dad. Let us talk about the unraveling of everything, how we started learning about everything. For example, let's just talk about Black girls missing and how in the 1960s, even in today, let's just keep it a band, how we
Mhm.
aren't as high of a priority for society to
Yeah. It
locate
hasn't
us.
gotten better.
It
And
has
Mhm.
not gotten better,
mm-mm.
right? We can think about the young girls who constantly gets taken and trafficked. You know, still today, right now. You know what I mean? And if
Mhm.
you are of Black descent, baby, you are not being thought about except for your friends and family. Just a real quick story. I have an old friend of mine. He had a niece who was trafficked, and they just shared it with all the people that they knew, all the friends, everybody. Just have a conversation if you see her, if you see her, if you see her. And just so happened, she was outside of a hotel crying. Now, it wasn't somebody she knew, it was a Black woman who had just happened to be here for a conference. They lived up north. We're in Southern California. And she was crying. And the lady said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "No." Explained a little bit. And she was like, "They're gonna get me." She was like, "They are not." You know how we do. Like, I
Mhm.
wish they would. You know how we do.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah, they're gonna get this, they're gonna get this work. Took her into her hotel room, was able to call her family, all because it was a guy who was handsome, who had money, and she wanted him, and he's the one who got her hooked, who tried to hook her. But of
Uh-huh.
course, she had, you know, ethics and values, a family that actually cared about her. So they came and got her. So she got down there,
Uh-huh.
called. I don't think they called the police or nothing, but girl, I would have been like, "I'm on my way. Call the police because I'm coming and we're gonna find these people.
Right.
Look at me being nice. Anyway, so the unraveling of everything. When we talk about she started thinking about Carol and how Carol disappeared. And they thought, oh, she maybe she got kidnapped too. I need to find out what's happening. And
After.
we do all the five girls because she made number 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so we start meeting the families and all of those. Tell me, how did you feel when that came to fruition? Like, oh my God, the Creek killer. There's a Creek killer.
Mm-hmm.
These women were seen, coming from student council on their way to work, doing, had all these ambitions and goals, and then boom, they're
They just
gone.
gone. And nobody was actually looking for them either, right?
Right.
No, the police weren't. They weren't gathering evidence the way they could have pieced everything together. Like
Mm-hmm.
the evidence that was gathered, how many years ago? Was it 40 years, 30, 40 years later? 60 years
Mm-hmm.
later?
60 years later. 60
Later
years
was
later.
evidence they could have gathered, and pieced together. Then had they been interested, which made it sad. I felt utterly disgusted by that because not just because it happened then, but because it's still happening now. I too had a niece that went missing, and for her it was on purpose. We did find her. It wasn't because but we didn't know at the
Mm-hmm.
time. But there was not a big outcry like the local or national news like it is in other
Mm-hmm.
instances for people. I was gonna say people of no color, but it was just not. But we did find her, but it's disgusting because so many children and adults are trafficked and snatched, and I was just like, I didn't know which way the book was gonna go, but when it went into that, I was just like, man, because it's real. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's no longer just a fun read. It's no, this shit is going on like
Right.
right now.
Mm-hmm. Right
Like,
Right.
now.
It felt like a real life story. It wasn't just
yeah,
fictional anymore. It felt like this is shit that has happened. Even though this is Riley and she made that up, but my thought process was this is some real stuff that actually has happened.
it
Like
Mm-hmm.
there's some people who, even back when we think backwards right now, this is no longer a fictional book, girl. I know we say fiction, but it's real life, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Um, Go
I
ahead.
kind of felt like number one, like you said, this is kind of still what's going on today. But when you think about it, being in the '60s, being in the South, um, we were overlooked and disregarded. There was
Mm-hmm.
no rush to go looking for us. And a lot of us just felt like there's nothing I can do about it, right? We had to
Yeah.
accept a lot of things
Yeah.
that, the police are not going to take me seriously or whatever. One of the things, and I'm not going to spill any beans or anything, but
Spill the beans. Spill the beans. Spill the
you
beans.
the,
Spill the beans.
the older man that lived next door to that boy, he
Why you didn't say
saw
that?
what he
Why you
saw
didn't say that?
when
it did.
everything was going on,
Why
and
you
he
didn't say
didn't
that?
open his mouth, but he
Yeah.
remembered it 40 years later. Like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Why
knew
you
they
didn't
were
say
missing, and
anything?
that girl,
Yeah.
it was probably the next day when it was announced that that girl was missing, and you know what you saw, and
And the
you saw
blood on his clothes.
it did. I think that was
it
blood.
was meaningful enough for him
Yeah.
to maintain it in his head. Like he knew all those years that something wasn't right. And he never said a word. I didn't understand
Right.
Mm-hmm.
that.
I didn't understand it. I
Because
didn't
we
understand.
talk, even if he never told the police, we talk in the
We
community, we
talk.
running off at the lips. And I'm like, he never spilled those beans to anybody. It wasn't gossip anywhere around town.
Right.
I didn't understand that.
Right.
But even her mother, meaning Carol's mother. I mean, it's like they kind of swept it under the rug too. I don't know. Without having judgment, I can't say that. Just you mean your sister is missing and you not saying anything. So that part.
So they
Yeah.
never even put a police like she wasn't one of the people they were looking for at all because there was no police report. Do you remember in the book when it said she said somebody said that the curtain was moving? Do y'all think the mama really did see her, and
Yeah,
that's
the
why
mama
Yes.
mom
saw her
did not
leave.
put in a police report?
Oh yeah, when
Yes,
she
I
left.
feel like the mama did see her leave, and that's why she did not. That's why we don't talk about Carol because she left. But
Mm-hmm.
that had a whole lot in my mind though too. Like you saw her, what did you know? Because you saw her in Raymond's car. What did you know? What did you see? You didn't see Raymond in the car. That was Raymond's car. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You didn't
Mm-hmm.
see Michael in the car. It was Michael's car. I mean, it was, that's what she hung up. So for me, we be having our own discernment and intuition. Thank you. Um, uh, about that kind of stuff. And I feel like the mama probably, and back then we was, really spiritual on discernment and the things that we thought about. And then Glenn just said the mother made me mad. I would have never stopped looking for my daughters.
Yes.
Period. Point blank. Period. Point blank. Period. And so one of the things that we might as well start bringing this in. You ready? So when we found that diary and we started talking about Michael this and Michael that and Michael this and Michael that and Michael's great and the flowers every day on the locker. And then, then we learn about Raymond who mimicked that. Later we found out he mimicked that for somebody, but with like a heart. Like we knew that he was on we knew he was on the spectrum. Like, homeboy, how you make a whole heart, like with the whole,
Right.
you had some gifts that you were, because when you on the spectrum, you do sometimes have a focus on certain things that you can do really well. But nevertheless, we were introduced to Michael. And she started looking for Michael. Who is Michael? And then we met Michael's sister. And we found out that because of Miss Eloise, Michael's Yvonne, the sister, that's the first conversation that we had. Mm-hmm. So when I think about Yvonne and how we learned later that she took Michael's report that he did and removed it, what did she know? Like, what did you think about Michael in general? Like, I was not expecting, not at first. And then all of a sudden it hit me like, oh, yeah, no. Oh, yeah, no. But how everybody adored Michael. Mm-hmm. Michael was an athlete. Michael became a lawyer and then was a professor, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then she finds him and they go to Detroit. I'm so glad that Malik said, I don't want you to go by yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Me too.
Exactly.
Because honestly, I'm just thinking as a person in general, I wouldn't have went by myself anyway. That wouldn't have been my even thought process. Wouldn't even have been I'm gonna go by myself. Because if you are a journalist, you would go, but you meet them outside. You don't go to their house.
To their house.
What I'm saying? Made me think about the wife and the daughter. Like they left the house. Like how much you know? And I believe that they were of Asian descent. So how much do you know? How much do you know? How much is he controlling you? Y'all just give me whatever your thoughts are, because look at my mind. My mind is just really going a million miles a minute thinking about how we were introduced to Michael. Everybody had a crush on Michael. He was handsome and he was tall. Everybody wanted Michael, except for that one lady that we met at the end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But did you the way the author explained Michael's characteristics, did you believe he was who the author portrayed him to be? I didn't have any doubts about Michael until the end.
I didn't have any doubts until we got that trunk.
Okay.
The trunk, yeah.
The trunk is what made me. Before that, I thought, oh, he's a good guy. He was in love with her. He's looking for her. He's been holding on to this trunk, holding on to this thought process. And then the trunk. And then the whole, I'm a serial killers, how they hold on to trophies, right? I thought the trunk was, in my mind, was the trunk a trophy? Oh, my God. There's Sally's thing. Like, it just, go ahead, y'all.
I got a small hint that something was off when he was disappointed that she brought her sister.
Yes.
But I'm thinking, as a man, you wouldn't want your daughter or wife child by themselves anyway. Like, why would you feel some kind of way that she's not by herself? I thought that was weird for his reaction to be disappointed that she wasn't by herself. Why do you want her? I'm thinking, why do you want her by yourself?
Right.
And where did the daughter and mom go? Why, so I had questions, like, and then how he just kind of blew her off when she mentioned his sister. Like, oh no. Like, and instead of asking him, well, that's weird that she would, get rid of her report or whatever. Like, he blew it off. So I'm like, oh no.
Well, and he probably didn't even know that the bracelet was back there.
Nah,
Because
I think
why
he
did you
put that bracelet in there?
Know that?
No.
You didn't think he knew it?
No, because
why would he? Go ahead.
Carol said that she snuck it out of the box before they buried
and
it.
Put the ring, put
the ring in there. So he didn't know that it happened.
Okay.
So
because he wouldn't have given it away. Why would he give it to her if he put it out?
Right.
He didn't know about the hidden panel in the trunk.
Right.
Or he would have definitely taken that out. That was evidence that connected him.
So first of all, I thought, I want to know how much his sister knew too. Like, why'd you take his name off the list? Why, when they asked, did you know any Michael? And she said no.
She said no.
But you knew that your brother was dating her. Like, something.
And you had an argument about it you the person that was arguing with her in Raymond's house at the party, or what the party at Shaw. You was the one that was arguing about her dating your brother. Like,
so I want to know how much she really know. Did she know her brother had some issues? And then I'm be honest. And so I felt the same way as Anitra. Why did he, like, because you would think if he was so enamored with Carol, he would want to meet all of her family as much as he could, right? Like, why would you be disappointed? But also, I found it kind of weird. Remember, before Carol got missing, he was adamant that he was going to, where was he going? California?
California.
He was adamant, right? As much as he professed to love her, he was adamant about going to California, but instead he wound up in Detroit. And he stayed there.
He did go to California for a little while. He did go to California for a little while.
But then he wound up there and he stayed there. Like, something, it just kind of didn't sit right with me. Like,
he wanted her to pop up. He wanted her to pop up. So
it's like something not right with that. You know what I'm saying? And then he seemed so enamored. Like, when he saw the girl, when he saw Sydney, and like his
all
memories,
over Instagram,
right? Like, everything he was sharing seemed like he was still. If I was his wife, I'd be a little leery about. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds like you're still in love with this old ex,
right? Exactly.
And then you remember when Yvonne was like, "If you keep reaching out to me, I'm gonna press charges, defamation of character, all of that." I was like, "Oh, she know who her brother is." I really needed Kristen to give me more about that. Like, I really needed, just even if it was just 2 pages in a chapter, I needed to know more, because at the end, how she just disappeared, because she knew. I feel like she knew. I also feel like Kristen left that out on purpose so that we could have this like conversation about it. So let's talk about Raymond. Let's talk about Raymond. Raymond was the scarecrow, who was the partner of Michael.
Okay.
Oh, look, Glenn is gonna join us. Boom. Who was the partner to Michael? Hi, Glenn.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing?
Good. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Who was the partner to Michael and his shenanigans, right? But he was the one that was on the spectrum that everybody thought was weird. And when she seen him, the picture of him in at Michael's house, they were in their shawl jackets, Letterman jackets, and something about him plus the car made her feel like, and Michael immediately was like, oh no, he was going to the army, and maybe he's in Canada, we haven't seen him. I just want y'all to know, immediately I thought to myself, oh, Michael killed him. Like, all of a sudden my brain started thinking, oh, Michael had a lot to do with this. Michael must have killed him. Like, who, where? Because I had thought immediately that Raymond was the issue. because of how they saw Raymond, right? How he would stare at the women and how the parents would be like, stay away from the scarecrow. Because, he had lost his mom, he lost his dad, he lost his Aunt Mabel. He was having the parties at his house. Then they shared about how, like, low-key aggressive he was with these women. Y'all share your thoughts with me about Raymond. Like, what was your thought? And not only Raymond, the dynamic between Raymond and Michael. Like, their friendship.
It seemed like Raymond represented on the outside how Michael felt on the inside. Like Raymond was so stank, I could smell him through the book. And I feel like I was like, oh, because I don't know if y'all ever met a Raymond in real life, someone that prototype,
my daddy,
someone like that.
Oh, okay. Not like that. He wasn't that kind. My daddy's name is Raymond. My daddy not like that.
Okay. Yeah, like someone like that. That's like really just off. And like where you want to have sympathy for them because of their life circumstance, but you can't be with them because they're not all there. There's something in them that's just dark. And I felt like Raymond and Michael were like kindred spirits, and they Michael represented who Raymond wanted to be on the outside, and Raymond was what Michael was on the inside. And I was like, oh, that's the perfect match, unfortunately, for that community.
Yeah.
I feel like it was easy for the two of them to connect because Raymond was outwardly had issues. And so Michael was able to see that and be like, oh, that's like my kindred spirit. I can, this is somebody I can connect with. And because, normally you wouldn't, like the things that he wanted to do, you would not normally have that discussion with the regular Joe Schmo. But because of how Raymond was already acting, he knew that Raymond would be suspect. Right.
He felt that Michael he felt Raymond was somebody he could easily manipulate. I mean, you got to figure out birds of a feather flock together, right? People who have a like-minded kindred. Michael had, as you mentioned, Michael had the outside persona. Everybody said he was a smart kid. He was well respected, but he had that deep secret on the inside. So he can manipulate Raymond because Raymond had nobody. So again, Raymond gravitated to Michael because, hey, I got a friend, I got a buddy, I got somebody I can hang out with, I got somebody who I can kind of emulate or be like, and so therefore they kind of helped each other out in that sense, with the cover up and everything.
Right. He didn't have to convince Raymond. He knew he didn't have to convince Raymond to get on board. Raymond was ready.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's something else that was interesting to me. Like the community knew that there was something dark about Raymond, but they didn't mind utilizing him to have fun.
Yeah, that part.
His car, his house.
Right. Like we're not gonna be left alone with you. So I thought that was twisted in the community too. Like something's not right, that something's there. Like it's not a secret, but y'all but we're gonna have a good time. So that whole dynamic was just, I wouldn't say it happens. That's what people do. People are people. But I thought that spoke to the community too. Just the mindset of, we know he's dangerous. Don't leave your daughters or girlfriends with him, but we still gonna use him. Like, why even do that? Because he's retaliating, right?
Like but families do that too, though. Yeah, y'all can come to the cookout, but don't hang around Uncle Johnny or Uncle whoever, right?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
He gonna bring the ribs, though. He gonna bring the ribs, but don't sit on his lap.
Yeah, don't sit on his lap. Right. So again, our community has always become welcoming, but also had an eye out, but never been set those strong boundaries.
Set the strong boundaries, shared, open your mouth and say something. You know what I mean? I feel like that for me personally in my own life, right? I've had my own experiences. We've talked about that in other books. And I think to myself, all of a sudden it's a secret. You know what I'm saying? I share with my cousins and everybody's like, what? I can't believe. Well, believe it. Just because it wasn't shared. And for me, it's important that you share and you put the light out. Okay, y'all don't want him to go to jail, but I do. Okay? I do. If I saw him on the street getting stomped, I'd probably get out and be like, whoop his motherfucking ass. Excuse my French, but I meant what I said. Okay? Like that would be how I felt. And so for me, it's important that these things are shared out loud with your families. Not just telling my children, oh, don't go over there, don't go by Raymond, don't sit on Johnny's lap, don't. No, make it known because he has an issue. So how about we help him fix that issue? What is the issue? Has he been doing this before, or she? Because women are not exempt from it. You know that
Not at
happens to
all.
young men too. You know, and they it's even worse for young men because young men, if you hear somebody talk about it, look at me. Oh, I'm getting all passionate and emotional. Give me 5 more seconds. When you hear that young men talk about it, they feel like, oh, yeah, I lost my virginity to, my babysitter. She was 20 and I was 15 or whatever. That is wrong. That is wrong. You know what I'm saying? There's no way around that. Open your damn mouth and call people out on their shit. And since I want to talk about calling people out on their shit, dang, I can't really go there yet, but I want to so bad. Open your mouth and say something.
Go there.
Okay, let's go there then. So when we find out that Carol didn't run away, that Carol was alive, that was had my
And
mouth dropped
that's
wide open.
she was a part of the murders.
Yes.
Mouth
Part of
Like,
one.
dropped. Go ahead, Glenn.
I said she was part of one. My mouth did drop, but I also looked at it too. Like, at what point? Well, yeah, my mouth was dropped when I realized she wasn't there. But then you're like, dang, you helped these dudes do this, and these was your friends. Like, was you ever scared? Like, why did you tell your mama? Like, when I went home that night, I'd have been like, hey, guess what? You know what I'm saying? I guess, I mean, I understand the point about her brother, right? But if they get arrested, then he don't have to worry about your brother because, again, he should be protected and safe. But I'm going to let somebody know, guess what happened? And to even think about how manipulative these guys were or detailed, they even had water in their trunk to wash off and to do all this,
Clothes.
the clothes and everything else. So for her to be able to keep this for all these years, it's tormenting. Me and Jack had a conversation. It's like, I guess because it was 60 years ago, it's easy to change her identity because they didn't have all the technology now. I'm like, she really changed who she was, and no one had no clue. Like, she got a social security card, she got tax forms, she's a teacher, she's doing all this, and she
As
was
Mary
really
Wells.
able to.
Yeah.
Right, as Mary Wells. And she slammed the door in her own son's face, like, get away from me. But yeah, it was weird to understand, like, how do you live with yourself knowing that your best friend and other girls were murdered and you still scared after all these years? Like, it's 60 years. Like, you was a part of it. You could have went back home and still told, but that's a whole different.
No, that's not a whole different story because she should have. The moment she saw them and they threatened her, immediately I thought, why didn't you go and tell your mama? Immediately.
Right.
Because that's not going to affect my family once I tell my mama and I go and my mama say we go into the police, but I don't know. We don't talk about Carol. We don't talk about the business outside. So maybe she knew that her mama wasn't going to do nothing. Maybe her mama didn't because Eloise was her best friend. You know what I'm saying? All of those things, but take your ass and tell somebody something. Because you could have took them to where the bodies were. Right. You could have been able to help to understand. Yeah, you did with Loretta, put the dirt on Loretta, but you were scared. That was you thinking, I'm afraid, I'm trying to save my life.
Right.
Now me in the car with you, driving around, talking to the women, getting my best friend Sally to get in the car to be murdered. And God knows what else. She was like, I don't know what else that they did.
They raped and murdered her.
They raped and murdered her.
Yeah, it wasn't just
her.
They
strangled her by the neck.
Mm-hmm. But wait, so not just that. Not only did she not go and tell anybody, but she was also still in love with Michael. She was still hoping her and Michael could have a future together. You know he done killed 2 girls. You know he not rap tight. And you still want to marry him? You need to be afraid. That means he don't mind killing somebody. He don't mind killing a woman. Yeah. Matter of fact, he enjoy it.
And it wasn't until Raymond tried to get you that you realized, actually before that, because she was like, Michael became more distant. Girl, where was Raymond and Michael going all the time? And then you found out now Michael is getting more distant, but you still want to be with Michael. Yes. And it didn't really click to you until Raymond wanted you to drove you over there, wants you to take your clothes off, and then come, and now you kill him.
Yeah.
And now, okay, you killed him because it was self-defense.
Right.
Even in that, you should have said, now that I done killed this guy, I need to say something, but I throw his clothes on because I took mine off, and then I drive and go to the house and go in the window and get some stuff and get in the car, and I drive, and I'm all like, oh, I gotta leave the car with the key and get on the Greyhound, but I saw the windows moving and it was my mom. Child, listen, she had me. Okay?
But she couldn't say anything at that point. She couldn't say anything at that point because she was already guilty and implicit. You know, she felt like I'm going to jail. Happened to my brother. My mom ain't gonna believe that. That's another thing. The relationship probably been with her mom. Mom ain't gonna believe me. This is a community, as you guys said. We're not gonna talk about anything. Also, my biggest was I kept trying to figure out why they didn't kill her. Did Michael love her so much that he didn't want to kill her, or did they realize that she could really help us get more girls?
I think the latter.
I thought because he loved her. Well, not
you
loved
thought
her,
he loved her?
I thought because he cared about her. I don't know. He didn't want to see anything bad. You thought what now?
Eventually that they was gonna kill her.
I thought eventually. Well, remember when Michael said that he was telling her to move to California with him because she can also go do her music in California. But he said what I didn't tell her was that it's not right around the corner.
Yeah.
So he was trying to set her up and isolate her because he was like, well, I'm not going to tell her that you can't. It's not just, it's not close to where we live. So he was already planning on isolating her in California. I thought he just wanted to keep her like a pet, like tucked away in the corner somewhere.
Well, let me ask this question.
Ask, girl.
So they was in the country, right? When she followed them on her bike, how did they not see her trailing them on the bike? Especially when they got to the woods in the secluded area, it's nobody in back of you. I even Googled the car. It did have a rear view mirror on the driver's side and a mirror up here in the center. And you saying y'all doing something this crazy and nobody looking around, nobody look back. To see somebody following you on a bike, I didn't get that.
Yeah, they feel confident though, because you realize sometimes I heard an old guy would tell me when you're doing dirt, ignorance is common sense ain't common, right? Because you think you worried about the girl, you worried about the girl in the back, you worried about what you're getting ready to do, and the last thing they figured it was a secluded woods. Once he turned down that road, he figured nobody else would come down here, nobody else would know, nobody else would figure it out. So she, dipped. She dipped. I was just trying to figure out the pattern. Why sometimes the woods and why sometimes your house? That was as we were reading the book. I'm like, so why would they be in the woods? I guess the people that did it at the house, they were buried here. Why? Just trying to figure out the pattern of why they would do what they did. But that's why I think just because they were so caught up in what they was getting ready to do that they didn't worry about anybody ever catching them because they got away with it multiple times.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then so Sydney is the one doing all of this the entire time, all the research, all the things, everything that's going on. But as you can see, the story wasn't about Sydney, but was it? Was it about Sydney? Was it about her learning who she was and developing who her confidence and her character and really figuring out this is what I love to do, right? I mean, every person we've talked about, we ain't said much about Sydney. We ain't said much of nothing about Sydney. We didn't talk about Sydney. Well, we did a little bit. Her passing out and why. But we ended up finding out why, right? We talked about Sydney and her husband and that relationship. But really, what did you think about Sydney in general? She's the one that helped us, who drug us into this, had us blinking and looking and saying, I know you lying. Like, she the one when they went to New York.
It's like she found her voice through her aunt's story. Like, there was like a lot of similarities and she was able to see herself. And that, along with going to therapy, she found her voice where she was able to share with her husband how she really feels and really dig deeper into who she is and what she wants and be able to speak on it and speak on it without being afraid. Because sometimes she was her feelings seemed very suppressed. And by the end of the book, she was saying the thing, whatever the thing was. So I was really excited to see her personal growth from her, this delving deeper into her family's history.
I love
Yeah.
the growth that we saw in like most of the characters, like Sydney and her husband, the growth there, the growth in Sasha, them finding like their purpose, right? And like you said, and their passion. Like she had been doing something just to be doing it and to create money, but it wasn't what she enjoyed. Like she, once she found this mystery, she couldn't let it go because that was one of the, that's just the way her mind worked, and it's what you enjoyed. So I like the growth that we saw in the characters and how this story wound up setting them up, to walk in their purpose and what would bring them joy in life. I mean, it gave Sasha a career, right? That she didn't have in the past. What do y'all think of? Look, it's Talisa does all the questions, but what do y'all think
you can
about,
do all you can. I love that when you guys have questions and add in. Please don't. Come on.
What did y'all think about Sasha and the mom's relationship and how Sasha felt like she had to be there for the mother?
That's trauma.
Yeah, that's trauma. I think it was a little bit of trauma bonding together that was there. Sometimes parents don't want to let kids go, and especially in trauma. Again, y'all mentioned earlier when we listened, mom coming from a family where they didn't really open up, so mom couldn't really help Sasha. So her way of helping Sasha was letting her just live there, letting her be there, and in Sydney relationship, as go back to the growth part. I like the fact that the book had the evolution of how they can grow in men relationships, relationship with her husband, relationship with her sister, and can have the tough conversations and not be a split. So if you think about this Carol situation, it really bonded them together because they had something they could work on. And so it was much more about connecting, but mom hindered that relationship because mom was always not willing to let kids go. I think at a certain point you got to let your kids fall and fail on their own, and that's a whole different conversation. The story.
Ooh, it is.
I like that, Glenn. Thank you. And to your point, I like when not a lot of parents don't do this, but I think more as the ones that decide to tap into trauma and emotional intelligence. Set your children free. Like, tell your child it is not your responsibility to take care of me. And my sister felt like she had to take care of her father, my stepfather. And this is before he became ill, whatever. She felt like, well, I have to be there for him. But you're a teenager. What do you mean? Like, no, you don't. He is a grown ass man. That nigga. And because that's exactly what he was. I used to don't, but if it applies, it applies. That nigga needed to take care of his own damn self. He was good and grown, but at no time did he step forward and say, "Baby girl, I got this. What you talking about? You can't go." And I see a lot of parents allow their children to stay in that mindset. I have to take care of you, and that's some bullshit.
That's some bullshit.
It was bullshit for the mom not to say to Sasha, "Baby girl, I'm fine."
Yeah. But really she wasn't fine. That's probably why she really
she couldn't say it because she
couldn't say it.
She wasn't fine.
But I know what you're saying. And it made me think about my oldest son. Like, I don't struggle no more. But when he was younger, that was the thing that we did. And so when he started getting older and started working and he started feeling like, oh no, I need to help you, Mom. No, you don't. I got it under control. I took care of you. I take care of me. I take care of Kingston. You don't have any children. You have a young life. Enjoy your life. Now, when he left, though, I did have a little bit of, but I know that was the right thing for him. Even just don't worry about me. Things always work out in my favor. And I feel like parents don't share. You're right when you say that parents don't share that enough. We don't say that enough. You got another question, Teresa? Come on with the questions, Teresa.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? What you got, girl? I know you see. Listen, y'all didn't know Teresa came in and she was like, "I got notes." Well, honey,
I do. I wish I'd have read through my notes before this call, but anyway. Why do y'all think why was the mother so upset? Like, remember at Thanksgiving when she found out they were doing all that research? She was like personally offended. Why? I didn't understand that. Was it
she was
again that don't put our business in the street
put that
kind of thing?
I
and that
think
whole
that's what
being
I thought. Yeah, I
yeah,
thought
and that
that's what
whole
it
being a
was.
pastor's child, how when you think about, was that you earlier, Anitra, who said when you think about pastoral families and the illusion or the presentation that you have to give and not what's really happening. I just read another book the other day, okay, about the pastor and it was baby, it was something else. Okay, look, I'll be reading, child. Anyway,
but
it was a mess. It was a mess. It was a erotica book. The pastor wasn't, but he was very controlling. Y'all ask me about the book. I'll tell y'all
Okay.
uh,
what book to
I'm
read.
like,
Because
but you know,
yeah, it
but
was
it's
when I
also
say it was good. What'd you say, Glenn?
but it's also not pastors though. You got to realize too, she was an NFL wife, so that's a different circle as
Yeah,
well. So you could
yeah.
look at that circle, try to keep up the family name in the NFL circle and her friends and stuff. We don't want people to look at us because it was tarnished not only um your father's legacy, but our name as well, and me in the circles that I deal in, because our daughters have to be a certain way, our family has to be a certain way because we at this different level of NFL stardom, and so is different circles that have that same attitude as the church does, but you also got professionals who do it, business people do it, NFL people do it, NBA people do it. Hey, we don't because it will affect our brand, our money, and our situation.
Yeah, I understand, Pastor Glenn.
It's not all that. It's not all
I
what
know.
you
That's why I said I understand and roll my eyes a little bit. But
know.
I was just saying because not only was she in NFL, but she also had that as you know, you real people. I know you in real life, so I have a different concept of you. I don't even see you as a person that be speaking to the people in the pulpit. Okay, this is my brother. Okay, my little brother. Yeah. So anyway. Let me say I have because I did write some questions down to Teresa. Okay. Who do you feel like was truly at fault in the story? Do you think Carol was at fault in the story because she didn't share? Do you think her mom was at fault? Do you think that Grace was at fault because she wasn't like helping? Do you think that the dad, because they did, who was at fault? Or because I'd be like, we all be at fault. We have to all be aware and be accountable. So that's my thought process. But outside of being all like, evolved and stuff, who would you think is at fault for how things, like, is it just the family dynamic? Like, what are your thought processes behind that? Like, it could be a variety of things, and I always want y'all to remember there's never a wrong answer. We say what we want.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was a community effort. Like I looked at the whole community.
Mm-hmm.
It was because there was so many. Like for the gentleman that saw him digging in the yard with blood on his shirt, with obvious blood on his shirt. Like in the and them not all the families not necessarily just pulling together as one unit, like keeping everything and not really just pulling together and digging deeper. The police force not even in a space where legally they even had to care about African Americans. Like they weren't pressed even from local
Mm-hmm.
politics
Mm-hmm.
to down to like it just wasn't an effort to me from the community. And yeah, I felt like it was just a little bit like
The whole
um
community.
the mother, what's her Carol's mother, disconnected, but she's a single Black woman taking care of children in a time where it's frowned upon when you're not married. So she, so it was just
A
everybody,
whole.
everybody played their part to where I can pretend to be someone that I'm not. For Michael, I could pretend to be somebody that I'm not. I could pretend to be light and I'm really dark, and y'all aren't going to see it because you're worried about appearances.
Yeah.
And so he had the freedom to wreak havoc and not be checked because he played along with the community guidelines. So
Yeah. That makes sense. And it also made me think about, even in today's day and age, minding your own business,
Mm-hmm.
right? something is happening and I'm gonna mind my own business. I got a brand new baby in here, the baby crying, probably got colic. I got my wife in there. She just had the baby. Oh, I see this, but you know what? That ain't none of my business. But isn't it as a community? Isn't it? And I do feel like there where we used to be community oriented in some ways, village raises a child, so the whole neighborhood, you get in trouble, you da 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 da, and you going home, and your mama know now you getting a whooping. Or for me, my neighbor used to say, "Oh, Talisa got somebody over. It's somebody outside. She let a boy come in the house." Like that was that was okay. That might have been what they call fast, whatever. But so was the dudes that was coming over. They was fast
Right,
too.
the double
You know what I'm
standard.
saying? So I thinking about that kind of stuff. I think about like we were a community to a certain extent, but we still don't talk about Carol, right? We still are not sharing the negative things. Oh, well, I know that her parent, wants her to be a good girl. She go to private school. Her mama at work all day. I'm finna call. But you didn't tell me that your son, is a bit of a pedophile. You know what I mean? You didn't, like, so you see, like,
Right.
I feel like they were a community, but they weren't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you
I
see the
think
boy.
And they were in the
Oh,
South with you know, they wasn't too far removed from where their parents wasn't too far
the
moved,
enslavement. Yeah.
removed from slaves and the Jim Crow and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
I think one thing we didn't address, what it was community. I think it was the whole community, but the whole community really didn't look at them or look for the girls, because all it takes is one girl in a community for everybody to lock it down. Now you have multiple community people, and no one really locked the whole community down looking for these girls. And the other thing is, we haven't addressed the age difference between Carol and Michael. That was a big difference as well, because Michael was in college and this girl was
18. He was
in
18.
18,
Yeah.
19. She's still in high school. So that's why
15.
another reason,
Yeah.
15, and that's why the mom was like, nah, we can't do that. But yet it was that I guess that intrigue. First of all, we should know the red flag there. If you're 18 and you're still messing with girls in high school, there's still a bit of a problem. I tell some of my athletes that I deal with, like, yo, once you graduate and she's still in school, you might want to not consider that relationship as something different, because it's going to be problems if y'all don't work out. I'm just giving you a heads up, just some wise advice, So
Statutory
I think,
rape. Let's call it what it is. They could
yeah, call it what it is.
statutory rape.
Yeah. So again, that right there is one of the reasons why mom really wanted to keep Michael away from this young, from Carol, because it was a 3 years makes a difference when you think about the mental capacity of it, and that's why another reason why he felt like, oh well, I can manipulate her because of my age and her age.
And then
Absolutely.
you think about maybe that's why Carol was afraid to tell her mom, because her mom would have been like, "I told you not to fool with that boy." That might have been a thought process behind why she didn't share. I'm sorry, somebody was getting ready to say something when that thought process dropped in my head.
No, I wasn't, but I did want to say, dang, I lost it. So two things.
Okay.
One, I wondered why, she kept her journal. Why did her journal not talk about any of the things with Michael and what is his name? Ray Ray?
Raymond,
Like,
I think because it was after her last
Mm-hmm.
one was the last thing she said before she saw them in the woods.
oh, but it
And
was
so,
months from then before she got missing, and she never wrote about that.
yeah,
But then the other thing I was gonna say,
that was a good question.
did I lose it? I think that Michael thought Ray Ray, even though he didn't send Raymond after her, I think he thought Raymond had done away with her and then drove off to Canada. And that's why he never was worried about where Raymond was. I think he thought that he was the one responsible for Carol getting missing, and that he thought Raymond just, left town. I think that because
Yeah.
his car was gone. He didn't know, he had no idea where that guy was, right? And he
But then
didn't
he
know
went to
that.
Right.
Detroit, though.
What'd you say?
He moved to Detroit though, looking for her.
No, I'm saying, well, that's true.
I mean, it could be two things can be true at once.
I think he thinks the spot was hot, and Raymond might have just bounced and left. But I think in his heart of hearts, he didn't believe Carol was dead. I think in his heart of hearts,
He
he
wasn't
believed
wrong.
he wanted to believe that, let me go find her. If she's anywhere, or going to Detroit to do, if she's anywhere, she's at Detroit. Because remember, she left. She didn't tell him where she was going. Nobody knew. So he wasn't 100% sure if she was dead or alive. And he's thinking about, if this girl's still alive, she could spoil my whole beans. She can tell everything about who I am, where she's at, what she's doing. I mean, she can destroy my whole life. And so
And I
he went to. I think he went to try to check to see if she was alive.
Yeah.
I feel like, and if she was, that he probably would have tried to kill her.
Absolutely.
Because when they arrested Michael, and then they said, oh, because they're missing girls in Oakland and there were missing girls in Detroit, he was still up to his same routine. So I feel like, had he run into her and had Sydney gone by herself, he would have killed Sydney.
Absolutely.
And he killed those girls. Yeah. I really, you know what I mean? Like, and okay. So, which makes me ask the question: do you think Carol should have been arrested? Should she have been at fault for any of this? For not sharing for 60 years? For killing Raymond? He deserved it. For Sally thinking, alluring her into the car so that she, like, what do you feel like there should have been some type of ramifications for her part in, even though she was manipulated, right, and scared?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't, simply because of that. Like, I think back to the mind of a 15-year-old girl. We were 15 once. And even if you think you know everything at that age, you think you know, because you think you know, you really don't. And it's so easy to be manipulated and to be scared and to be coerced, and I pronounce it right anyways, into the thing, whatever the thing is. So that, on top of the relationship she had with her mother, she was never in a space where she was allowed to speak truth. And so she was in survival mode. And not saying it's easy to look at it and say, well, I would have did this and I would have did that. But as a 15-year-old girl that has been with this man for 3 years and being groomed, and now the man that you love is telling you, if you do this, I'm gonna do this with your brother, and I'm gonna do this. So I feel like she suffered enough just from carrying the guilt of the part she played, and the murder, that in the self-defense. I'm like, you good. But that's
At
just
first,
me.
I think, my bad. At first, I thought yes. I'm like, man, she needs to get something. But then I realized, this lady is at this point, let's say 60, 70, about at 78 years old, or that's 70 something, late 70s. What would you get from that? Then I thought about, as Anitra said, all the trauma and everything that she went through. But then I'm like, you know what? If she has a good lawyer, at least I'll give you information on Michael. If I don't get any time, I'll give you information. I'm not telling my story unless I get exonerated. I don't know how that went. I can't remember. They mentioned something like that in the book, because she was the key witness against him. If she doesn't say anything, they have no evidence, right? All the evidence was circumstantial, until her testimony was key. So I think, Arthur didn't say it, but I think she was the one who turned witness and was the reason that Michael was able to be put high bars. So if you look at it that way, no, she just turned state evidence and then getting time.
How do you feel, Teresa? You in agreement?
I agree with the fact that she was a child, right, when it happened, and she was afraid. Like Glenn said, without her testimony, they would have never got this guy who was responsible for tons of disappearances. So they needed her testimony for that. And the fact that she went away and never came back shows how fearful and afraid she was. And she she was still a minor. What was she, 15 when it happened?
15 when it happened. Yeah.
15 when it happened, and she didn't have anything to do with she didn't do anything to the girls. So she was kind of, yes, she was aware, but you know what I'm saying? Like, in light of the fact that she didn't have anything to do with them, going missing, and the fact that she was still a child, and the fact that she was afraid all these years. I mean, she had changed her name. Her son didn't even know who she was. So she truly had a fear of this man. I don't think she was trying to be conspire with them or anything like that. She was trying to save her life.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't either. I was just curious. I was just asking. I was curious. I do feel like I wish that they would have just given us like a little brief synopsis of her apologizing to Sally's brother and the cousin, like, and really being mournful for that. Even though we saw a little bit of that on the bridge, I would have liked for her to actually see her having conversations with their families and taking responsibility, even though she was in trial and all of that stuff. I really feel like that would have been great.
Can I say one last thing? Yeah. I feel like I enjoyed the book and it kept me interested all the way through. But I think this was a first time author. I feel like when she got to the end, she didn't know how to wrap it up. So there was a lot of details throughout the whole book. But when we got to the end, it was like she just kind of ran through it.
Okay. No, that's valid. And so I was going to ask if anybody had anything else that they wanted to share or any questions outside of that. You said what?
Yeah, I did. I had something.
We did.
Something was amazing about the DNA, how DNA connected them. So it was. I thought that part was interesting.
I forgot all about that. Yeah.
How the DNA is the DNA analysis or the DNA testing was what really brought them together, or what tied the dots to everything. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well.
I wanted to say something about what goes on in his house stays in his house. It wasn't also from the standpoint of because there's trauma going on in the house. It's also because when people think that you're doing better than them, then they can set out to sabotage you. That kind of thing too. Like, so don't let people know. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing too. And how that still kind of carries on in communities is like, don't say too much. If they think you got more than they, being white people, got more than them, then they'll come after you too. So keep your mouth shut. They don't need to know all the things. So it was like multi-layered of why that would be said, not just for the bad things, but also sometimes for the good things to keep the KKK, whomever, from coming after you.
Makes sense. All of that. Okay, so my last question is, would you recommend this book for someone else to read? Is it something that you would be like, girl, you need to read this book? You know how I just said about that book I was reading and it was erotica? Would you be like, girl, homeboy, bro, look at me trying to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Would you share this? Would you say, read this book?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. I recognize it might not be for everybody, but I would say I thought it was a good book. And it has me wanting to read like a real mystery now.
Are you not a mystery reader? Because see, now that's probably why when it started off, I was like, oh God, this is just too slow. Because I love mysteries and she wasn't moving fast enough for me to get to where I wanted to. But when she got there, I was like, all right, then stay with me then. Would I recommend this? I would tell someone that it is a book that would feel like nonfiction because of the backstory and things that have happened in real life. I would give them that, what's it called? Red flag? That whole, what is it? What did they call it? A trigger warning. I would give
trigger warning.
A trigger warning because it may be something that would affect you in a myriad of ways. But I would say it's a good book. I would say, number one, she Black and she a woman. So read her book. Like, go get it. And it was well written. It was well written. Okay, so I'm gonna close us out now. I didn't do what I was supposed to. Anybody who joins now or saw us or is gonna watch a little later, if you'd like to be part of Black Book Joy, before I started on Facebook, because I may close this down for only those who have already. When I say this, I mean the book club app to allow people to invite people. You have to be like really like ooh. Okay. I don't know. I haven't made my mind up, but I may shut it down as we continue to grow and we're on Facebook, which means you may not have the opportunity to join us in this atmosphere. But if you're here already, then you got it. Make sense? I hope so. So I'm going to just drop that link. I was trying to figure out how to do the QR code, but I can't figure it out. Glenn will probably show me a little later, like how to add uh drop pictures and files and stuff. I'm all like, I don't know, I can't figure it out. So if you want to join Black Book Joy, you are welcome to join. We welcome you. If you are invited by someone, that's an entirely different story. But right now, the link is in the comments for you to join us. Next month, I have not put up what our poll is, but we will have an option. Next month, I believe, if she's still open to it, Kim will be hosting us and asking us all the questions. And the books that we will be choosing from are Bluebird, a Highway 59 novel 1 by Atika Locke, or Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby, Night Crawling, it's part of the Oprah Book Club. That was by Leila Motley, or The Coldest Winter Ever, of course, by Sister Soldier. Those are the 4 options that will be in the poll. Please make sure that you vote by I'm gonna say on the 1st, on April Fool's Day, vote, because that way we can know what the book is for the entire month. Additionally, our next meeting will be at the end of April. It will be on April 25th. I'm doing my best to make sure that the books and the meetings stay in the month that we are reading the books. That's why we started in March, and now normally we wouldn't have this meeting until next week, April 4th. But I'm switching that up so that we can have what we read in the month that we read it. The book club meeting in the month that we read it. I just want to also say, for the book club members, my book tribe, if you have things that are happening right now in your life that you'd like to share, please do that for me now. We'll start with you, Anitra. Do you have anything you want to share with the Red Sunshines?
So I am hosting a tea chat. It's very intimate in my house. In April, I was guided to do that. And so my tea chats are just, they're guided by spirit. We sit down with a few people, and we literally are sipping on tea and we're having conversation. I am a healer through conversation. So the answers always comes when you're talking and you're sharing and you're open to receive. Now there could be a little Reiki thrown up in there if guided to do so. But I'm excited about doing that because I haven't done that in a couple of years. So I'm looking forward to that part of myself being open back up into the community.
Oh, and it sounds like it might even open to the point where you might be sharing it with multiple people, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut. How about you, Teresa? Do you have anything that you want to share? Anything that you're doing that you want to share, or that may even be something that may assist someone else? I don't know, a book you're reading, anything, whatever you feel like. And if you don't have nothing, it's no pressure at all. We'll see you next month. It's okay.
So I don't have anything to share that I have coming, but I do want to say I really enjoyed the book, and I really enjoyed our discussion today.
Good. I'm glad, Teresa. All right, Glenn, I know you got something.
Yeah, I got every Monday I'm dropping new posts on our page, Jack and Glenn, as well as our new page, Matrimony Thoughts, about marriages and how men respond and how men should respond. Jack should be helping us out soon, start dropping things about women from the women's perspective. So on Mondays I'm dropping stuff on men's perspective. On Wednesdays he's dropping things from women's perspective. So check it out.
That's Jack and Glenn and Matrimony
Thoughts.
I'm not even a member of Matrimony Thoughts. Let me get to it.
It's new.
Okay, because I ain't married, and I'm all like, do I need to be listening to that? Probably because I love them. Okay.
Yeah, and because I heard you got something else going on too. So
I do. My boo bae is here. Say hi, babe, in the background.
Hey.
So
I told you, sis, we got to catch up.
we do. We have to catch up. We have to catch up. Well, know that I love you in real life and want every good thing that God has in store for you, even if you don't know what that is for yourself. Hugs and kisses and lots of love. I will see you on the next video because more are coming. Y'all don't have to go nowhere yet. Y'all don't have to go nowhere.